Hey yo, what's up? It's Tyler. So it's time to make another update video. I have been on testosterone for 15 weeks, for real this time. As far as physical changes, it's really more of the same. More hair, more muscle definition, body fat redistribution, voice dropping, stuff like that. Something I've noticed lately is that, like my temper. It's the past week or so I've been getting really irritated over nothing. And it's never quite happened like that before. I mean, I used to have a really short temper, but I never got irritated over nothing. It calmed down, and that actually even calmed down when I first started tea. I had a much longer fuse, if you know, to get metaphorical and whatnot. I finished up my first vial of tea. It's actually empty early. It's supposed to be 20 shots, and I got 16 out of it. After a few shots, I realized that I was reading it wrong. I was, pulling it back so that the point was equal to 1/2. And I guess that's because of, I'm a science dork, and you read from the bottom of the curve. Well, that was a curve to me, so it looked like a good place to read it from. So, yeah, that was wrong. And then I went to check to see how many more shots I had in the vial, to check when I needed to reorder it. And I lost some. I injected a whole bunch of air in there to pull out a whole bunch of tea, and pressure was wrong, and tea came spewing out of the top. It was kind of scary. Not something you want to see. Wasted goodness. So I was really freaking out. I called the company. I called Stroheckers to place an order, and I had made a payment on my credit card that morning, so it was going to be some time before it went through. So I was terrified as to whether or not I would get it in time. I was freaking out all week, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can call a friend. So I called my buddy up, and I was like, hey, bro, I've got an epic favor to ask. Can I get a shot from your vial, and then when I get mine, I'll give it back to you? And he was like, yeah, dude, don't worry about it. So we go, and we get my shot, and we ended up going to dinner with Sam's family that night, so we were in a pretty big hurry. When we get home from dinner with Sam's family, that went well. Nothing real epic to talk about there. We get home, and I gotta check my mail because I'm waiting for my credit card, because I got my name changed on it finally. Got all that tracked down, and my prescription was in there, and I was like, that's crazy. It got here in 2 days from Oregon. That's crazy. What else? Family stuff. Okay, so this past weekend I had off, and I had this project that I wanted to build for my weight set, because I'm limited in how much weight I can use, because I don't usually have a spotter around. So Dad and I were going to construct a cage for a bench press spot, is what I call it, and then a spotter for the squat. Basically a rack for both the bench and the squat, with a pull-up bar up high enough that my feet don't touch the ground. But anyway, so on and so forth. Dad comes and looks at it, and he's like, alright, well, I'm going to go get the metal and start working on this. And I was like, well, can I come with? Will you teach me to weld? And he was like, no, and I was really upset about that. And he left, and I started thinking about it, and Dad called me back, and I came to realize and find out for sure that he didn't want me to come with because he was worried that my grandpa would be home. And on the subject of my grandpa, Dad's been getting on to me, telling me that I need to talk to Grandma and Grandpa real soon. And I know I do, but dear God, it's scary. I think Dad's getting on to me about it because him and Dad work together. They work for the same company, and they end up spending a lot of time together. And I suspect that Grandpa's noticed that, something's bothering Dad, and he can't talk to Grandpa about it because he knows it's not his place to tell him. Plus, from what my aunt and uncle say, Grandpa knows that, and Dad too, Grandpa knows that something's up. But I don't think he knows what. Speaking of my aunt and uncle, we went to their house Sunday night. Sam seems to like them, and they seem to like her pretty well too, so that's pretty chill. I told my mom earlier last week that I was going over there for dinner, and she got irate. Yeah. So, she was like, why do you need to go over there, blah, 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 blah. And I almost popped off with some razor-sharp line like, I need family who accepts and supports me right now, and clearly you're not it. But I decided that that wasn't going to help any situation I was in. And then while I was over there, I was talking to him about telling Grandma and Grandpa. And I got some pretty good pointers and views on it. My uncle told me that I would be better off to keep it short and simple. No need to talk about altering my body, and to let them do the research and ask their questions. They're a little old school. They're not so into any form of body modification. I mean, they've offered me literally thousands of dollars to take out my piercings, and now that I really need it, I'm kind of wishing I had. But, whatever. So, I mean, on the upside, that makes that conversation a lot shorter, which may make it a lot easier, but I'm still not looking forward to it at all. My grandparents mean the world to me, and I know that this is going to hurt them like hell, and, I mean, even worse than hurting them, it's going to disappoint them. And that's, I mean, the second I tell them I'm going to have to watch that go across their faces. And it's going to suck a lot. I don't even like thinking about that. So anyway, on to happier topics. So the day after I went to my aunt and uncle's, I was at work and my phone started vibrating in my pocket, and I pulled it out. And it was another one of my uncles, my mom's youngest brother. And him and I are pretty chill. We're drinking buddies. We go out. But I haven't seen much of him lately because he's been working a lot, and he was moving to a different state for a job and that whole mess, whatever. So anyway, I was like, I knew as soon as I looked at my caller ID and it said Brian, I was like, huh, this is going to be interesting. And so I answered the phone. I was like, hello. And he was like, alright, so don't expect me to call you Tyler, but what's up? And I was like, nothing. What are you up to? He's like, well, I was wondering if, you're going to be in the area tomorrow. And I was like, well, I got to work tomorrow, but other than before and after, yeah, I'll be there. And he was like, alright, well, let's get together. So that was the plan, but thanks to the shit-tastic weather we are having here in Texas right now, I'm not going anywhere. I got stuck at work because there was no coverage, and one of the two of us that was there had to stay not only 2 to 10, but 10 to 6 because there was no coverage, and luckily the other guy, said he'd stay, so that was cool. So it took me 45 minutes to get my windshield clear and defrosted and into my car. That was a mess. The doors were frozen shut. So yeah. Then I have to drive home, and I'm driving on the icy/slushy roads in Texas. I've gone into that in my rant video. People think it's a brilliant idea to slam their brakes before they hit an icy overpass, because that's what you do on ice. Oh, stupid people. But anyway, I'm gonna quit rambling. That's all I've got for y'all now. So I'll catch y'all later. Bye.